Welcome, my viewer. It's yet another Saturday that God has given us a moment to encourage one another. Last Saturday, I was speaking about the season of God's silence in our lives, and I explained how sometimes we are worried when we don't feel or when we think that God is silent in our situations. Today, I want to continue with a topic that I had initially started, and it is not a topic because it is my personal experience having a child with hearing impairment. And I have talked about it, or I've shared my own experience in 2 videos, and I want to continue now with another one, talking about the impact of a family with a child with hearing loss. And I'll talk about maybe 2 or 3 challenges that parents face, parents who have a child with impairment, because there are challenges that people face when they have got a member of a family with impairment. One, I would want to say that having a child with impairment is a big challenge. It's not a simple thing, but at the same time, I want to say that it is a blessing to have a child with impairment, because it is a child, or she or he is a child just like any other. It's only that they suffer that loss, they suffer that challenge, but he or she is a child just like any other. I mentioned in my 2 previous videos about my children that they were twins, they were identical twins, 2 girls, and I was very happy when I gave birth. Even if I was in pain, I was very happy that I became a mother of twins, 2 girls. And I named these girls Blessed and Joy. And one of the twin, who was older than the other one, is the one that I named Blessed. And the second twin is the one that I named Joy. Joy Lois and Blessed Lois. And for Blessed Lois, she is the one who suffered hearing loss. I explained how she lost her hearing through medication of meningitis. She suffered infection 3 days after birth, and she stayed in an incubator or in a machine for a whole month, and she suffered so many other episodes of challenges related to that. But all along, until 2 years, I didn't know where my child was suffering from. It is until 2 years that I came to know that my child became deaf, and it was a battle, or it was a journey that I started that I was not ready to go through. So, number 1 of the challenges or the impact of a family with a hearing impaired child is acceptance. Accepting that you have a child who is not like the others. Even the other family members, it takes them time to accept. I have my husband, I have we have our eldest child. We had the second born child, and we had other members of the family. For them to have accepted that they now have a sibling who is hearing impaired, it was not easy. Leave alone those ones. Myself as mother, in my family or in our family lineage, I have not come across any child, either a cousin, auntie, uncle, or any one of our family members who is deaf or who has hearing loss. And therefore, this was a big shock. It was a big trauma to start with, but through the grace of God, after struggle and after help, I was able, and the entire family was able to accept that Blessed was with us to stay and to live until today. And I thank God because Blessed has brought a lot of joy in our family. And after she went to school, because I explained of how she went to school in a deaf school, she has been in a deaf school for the longest time. She went to a deaf school when she was 4, and now she is almost 17. So she has been in a boarding school, a deaf school, for 12 good years and more. And that's a long journey, having a child with impairment. However, there was no shortcut about it. I had to go through that. As a parent, I had to accept this child the way she became. I didn't have a choice. Even if it took me a long time, even if it was very difficult for me to accept, that was the first step for me and for the other members of the family to accept that we have a child who is not like the others, a child with an impairment. And number 2, another challenge or another impact in the family was, and it still is, time. Time was a challenge, and even it is today, whereby I've talked about her being in a boarding school for 12 years. It was not easy for us to part with her while she was very young, at the age of 4. I remember I used to cry like a baby. I used to cry. She goes to school, I leave her crying, I also crying, I leave crying. I go home, I continue crying, and I could cry and cry until I developed depression. And it was not easy for me because it was so difficult to comprehend. It was so difficult to bear, even the pain of leaving my child at that age. But I didn't have a choice. That was the only option. According to the doctors, we had to part with her, we had to release her, and it was a very painful experience. And therefore, not having that time to bond with her, having not that time to stay with her as a young child or as a young kid. We all know that we take our children to kindergarten when they are 3, and it is okay, and 4 years and 5 years. But we leave them in the morning, we depart in the morning, and by the end of the day, they come to us. They give us stories of how the day was. They tell us and share with us the experiences. Now you can imagine here, I have twins. I have one who is coming in the evening and telling me how the school was, how the experience was. I have another one whom I don't know how she is faring, and she has a challenge. And therefore, I never used to concentrate on the positive things that joy used to come and bring to me or to us as a family. I used to think about Blessed, who was far away, thinking of how she is, thinking of who is taking care of her, feeling very depressed about her, and feeling very disturbed about the whole situation. If at all we get bothered by those children of that age, and they are okay, they are normal. You can imagine now having a child with impairment who is far away, who cannot express themselves and say what they want or how they feel. And it is not a school that you can go every day to go and inquire. It is a school that is very far away from home, because as I explained earlier, that the school that we got was not near home, anywhere near home. It was miles away from home. That was the other challenge, and it is still a challenge even today. But we thank God that Blessed has grown, and she has grown well, and she is now a grown-up. She is now almost 17 years, and we thank God she's doing very well. But she is still living with that hearing impairment. That is the challenge or impact number 2. The other impact that is very paramount is the impact of communication. Communication breakdown. It has been the greatest challenge ever. You are with a child with impairment, hearing loss. She goes to school and she learns sign language, whereby everyone in the school is deaf and they are communicated with sign language. Their teachers, some of them are deaf. Even those who are not deaf, they communicate through sign language. And now she comes home. She expects me, she expects the dad, she expects the siblings to communicate with the same sign language. A language that we don't know, a language that we cannot communicate. It was another blow. And now, it took us some time to accept that there is no other way of communication than the sign language. Sign language is a national language. It is a national language. And we were supposed to go and learn sign language. Kila mtu ajisomee kivyake. And for me, I remember the first time that we were to go to, to go for a training for the sign language. When I started thinking that I'm going to class or for a seminar or for a training to be taught how to communicate with my child using sign language, it hit me hard and it struck me so badly that I could not attend that seminar. I couldn't go for that training because I got very depressed, and instead of taking it very positively, I took it very negatively, and I was not ready to go, and I failed. I didn't go. I didn't attend. And I stayed for 2 years without attending any training for sign language training. And a time came, I thank God, that I had to accept that there is no shortcut about it. I had to go and learn this sign language. I went with a lot of pain. I went with a lot of disbelief, with a lot of confusion in my mind. I didn't know whether I would even settle for a day or two. The training was to take a whole week, and I had to stay in the same school my child is to be trained this language. I found there were also other parents who were like me. We encouraged each other. We walked this journey together, and we were trained for the first time. And this is the time I started accepting that I don't have any other way than to learn the sign language so that I may be able to communicate with my child. However, after some time, I forgot about what I was trained. But the beauty of it, when she came home over the holiday, and she found that I had already learned the sign language, that was the most exciting moment for Blessed, our daughter. That she realized that I can be able to sign some of the words. I can be able to sign and communicate with her. It was very interesting even for me. And we had very good time together. But after that, because if you don't practice sign language, you cannot remember. And when she went to school, because it's a school that is just like the other schools, that she will stay for 3 months, by the time she comes home for holiday, because I've not communicated with anyone else, I have already forgotten how to sign some words. And I remember she used to make fun and really tell me that I have forgotten. You know, when she wants to mean that you have forgotten, I am not very particular in sign language, but I think this is what they call the sign for forgetfulness. So I always used to tell her I have forgotten how to sign some of the things or some of the words that I needed to know. And when she came home, she used to teach us or to train us as members of the family, the letters, letter A to Z. In sign language, there is no letter A to Z in small letters. They are taught in capital letters. And she used to teach us A to Z, number 1 to 10, 11 to 20, up to 100. And also, she was able to tell us most of the things that are very common in the house, how we are supposed to sign them. And it was very interesting. And I thank God because I got interested. But some of the members in the family, it's unfortunate that they were not in a position to get that time. Remember, I started talking about time. You don't have that time. There is no much time to bond with your child. And being the first challenge, and then I've talked about the second challenge, uh, the second challenge being communication barrier, and it is the one that I'm talking about. And then there is another challenge of rejection and ridicule. This one comes from without. It comes also from the family, it comes from friends, it comes from the society, whereby they reject you as a mother, they reject you as a parent, they reject the family, there is ridicule from the society and the community. It's not by everyone, of course, but most of the people stop treating you the way they used to treat you. They stop talking to you the way they used to talk to you, because now you have got another name. Now there is somebody else that you are being, even when they are talking about you, they want to relate you with your child. Yule mzazi ambaye akona mtoto ambaye hasikii na haongei, na wale ambao wanataka kuharibu sana, na si kuharibu, si kupenda kwao, watasema yule mama wa yule bubu, So there is that rejection and that ridicule from the community, from the people around you. There are even those who are going to come direct to you even without feeling ashamed that you are a pastor, because I'm a pastor. How comes that you have a child who is hearing impaired? You need to pray for her. Others will come and tell you, you need to go and be prayed by so and so. Others will tell you, you need to come, I show you where you need to go so that this child can be prayed for. And when you be prayed for, this child will speak and they will hear. You hear all sorts of things. This one tells you how the society is treating you, how the society is taking you. But that one is only, okay, it is a trauma on itself, but it is not something that can stop you from moving forward and continue trusting God, because He is ever faithful. And communication barrier or communication breakdown, it is a major impact, whereby if a family is not able to communicate with one member of the family through sign language, as it has been the case in my family, sometimes you find this child gets very agitated, she gets very angry, because you cannot understand her, she cannot also understand the language that you are talking, and this child can become very angry. And sometimes Blessed could become very angry. She could even develop tantrums, and she would not even want to be with anybody, because you cannot understand her. You don't know what she needs, what she's telling you, you cannot understand. And it really used to cause a lot of chaos in the house. But I want to thank God, even if I've not learned the sign language completely, I have the basics and I can be able to communicate with her. And when I cannot understand what she's telling me, sometimes I tell her to write for me. Other times I tell her to speak slowly. To sign slowly, because she signs very fast. I'm not able to get some of the signs when she is signing. But when she realized that I can be able to get some of them, she is very happy. And when I'm with her, I am very happy, and I'm very, very, very grateful to God for that child. For the years that she has given us, she has been a blessing, as her name is. But I want to say that there is a lot of impact to the parents and to the family the family who has a child with hearing impairment. I may not be able to exhaust all the challenges or the impact could be coming Saturday or any other moment when we are going to have our time together, I will continue with the same, talking about the challenges and about the experiences that I have encountered parenting a hearing impaired child. May God bless you, and thank you very much for listening.